My housekeeper called me at 6:47 in the evening on a Wednesday in October, while I was standing in the International Arrivals Hall of Dulles International Airport, waiting for my checked suitcase to appear on the baggage carousel. Her name was Rosa. She had worked for my husband and me for 11 years. She had a key to our house. She was, in the specific way that some employees become part of a family, part of my family. The phone rang. I answered. Rosa said, in a voice so quiet I had to press the phone against my ear, "Señora, please, do not come home tonight." I said, "Rosa, what is it? What's wrong?" She said, "Señora, I am so sorry. Please, go to a hotel, go to your sister's house. I will explain when I see you. But please, do not walk into this house tonight." I said, "Rosa, my husband is at home." Rosa was silent for approximately 4 seconds. Then she said, in a voice I had not heard from her in 11 years, "Señora, I know. That is why I am calling. The suitcase came around the baggage carousel. I did not pick it up. I stood in the middle of the arrivals hall at Dulles Airport, with the phone still pressed against my ear, and I understood that my marriage had ended. I had not yet walked out of the airport. I would not walk into that house for another 8 days. Act 1, The Household, 630, 950 words. My name is Elena Martin. I am 44 years old. I live, until this story, I lived, in a 5-bedroom colonial, in McLean, Virginia, about 12 minutes from the CIA headquarters at Langley. I work as a senior director of clinical research at a large hospital system in Northern Virginia. My work is not glamorous. It is administrative and demanding, and I am, on paper, quite successful at it. I make more money than I ever expected to make. I was married for 16 years to a man named Grant Whitaker. Grant is 47. He was, until the events of this story, a partner at a mid-sized private wealth advisory firm in downtown Washington, D.C. He managed the investment portfolios of, in his phrase, high-net-worth families. He came from one of those families himself, old Northern Virginia money, 3 generations at the same country club in Great Falls, a family compound on the eastern shore of Maryland. We did not have children. This was, per our long-ago decision, our shared choice. We had, however, Rosa. I need to tell you about Rosa, because Rosa is the reason for this story. Rosa Delgado is 59 years old. She was born in a small town outside of Cuernavaca, Mexico. She came to the United States in her late 20s. She has worked as a housekeeper in the Washington, D.C. area for approximately 30 years. Grant and I hired her in 2013, after our old housekeeper retired. For the first 4 years, Rosa came to our house twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. She cleaned, she did the laundry, she sometimes cooked a small pot of something warm and left it on the stove with a note in her careful English. She was, in every way that mattered, exceptional at what she did. In 2017, Grant and I offered Rosa a full-time position, 5 days a week, health insurance, 2 weeks paid vacation. She accepted. She has, since 2017, been in our house essentially every workday. She has a key. She has the alarm code. She has, over 11 years, become a person who knows the small details of our life, in a way that only someone who cleans your home 5 days a week can know. She knows which drawer holds the good silverware. She knows which mug I use when I am upset. She knows that Grant leaves his suit pockets full of receipts and business cards, and I always find them when I take the suits to the dry cleaner. Rosa also has, I want to be honest about this, seen things over 11 years that Grant and I have not necessarily discussed. She has, for example, seen the 73 empty wine bottles that appeared in our recycling in the 6 months after my father died in 2019. She has never mentioned them. She has, for example, cleaned up the broken glass on the kitchen floor in the summer of 2021, after Grant and I had a particularly bad argument on a Sunday night. She had come in on Monday morning at 7 and had, without a word, swept up the glass and mopped the floor and put a small bouquet of flowers from our garden on the kitchen table before I came downstairs at 8. She has never, in 11 years, said an unkind word to me about my husband, which is why on the evening of Wednesday, October 9th, when she called me at Dulles Airport and told me not to come home, I understood immediately that something had happened that Rosa Delgado, who had held her tongue for 11 years about many small things, felt she could no longer be silent about. I was returning that evening from a 3-day medical research conference in Denver. I had left the house on Sunday afternoon. I had, in the 72 hours I had been away, exchanged approximately 11 text messages with Grant. The standard exchange of a long-married couple traveling separately. How was the flight? The conference is fine. How is the weather in Denver? I love you. I miss you. See you Wednesday night. Grant had not, in any of those text messages, mentioned that he was expecting anyone at our house while I was away. I had, however, mentioned in a text on Tuesday morning that my Wednesday evening flight had been changed. I had originally been scheduled to land at Dulles at 8:47 p.m. My flight had been rebooked, at the airline's initiative, to a 6:15 p.m. arrival. I had texted Grant this update at 9:12 a.m. Tuesday. Grant had responded, "Perfect. Drive safe from the airport. Love you." He had not, I would later understand, told Rosa about the change. Rosa arrived at our house on Wednesday morning at her normal time, 7 a.m. She let herself in with her key. She turned off the alarm. She began her Wednesday routine. At approximately 9:30 a.m., she went upstairs to strip the sheets from our bed and put on fresh linens, which was her standard Wednesday task. What Rosa Delgado found in our upstairs guest bedroom on Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. is the reason I did not go home that night. The phone call. I want to walk you through the phone call at the airport, because it is important that you understand exactly what Rosa said and did not say. Rosa called me at 6:47 p.m. I had landed at 6:15 p.m. I had made it through the arrivals process. I was standing at baggage claim, tired from 3 days at a conference, expecting nothing more than a quiet drive home and a glass of wine on my sunroom porch. The phone rang. I answered. Rosa said, "Señora Elena, it is Rosa. Are you home yet?" I said, "Rosa, hi, no, I just landed. I'm still at the airport. Is everything okay?" Rosa was silent for approximately 3 seconds. Then she said, very quietly, "Señora, please, do not come home tonight." I said, "Rosa, what is it? What's wrong? Is the house okay? Is there a fire? What is it?" She said, "Señora, the house is fine. There is no fire. But please, do not come home tonight. Please, go to a hotel. Go to your sister Isabel's house. I will explain when I see you. But please, do not walk into this house tonight." I said, "Rosa, my husband is at home. He knows I'm landing. Is Grant okay?" Rosa said, "Grant is okay." I said, "Rosa, then what is happening?" She was silent again. Then she said, "Señora, this morning, when I went upstairs to change the sheets, someone was in the guest bedroom. A woman. She was sleeping. She was not dressed. Her clothing was on the chair. I saw her clothing. It was, Señora, I am so sorry. It was expensive clothing. It was clothing I recognized because I have seen it on a woman who has been at your house for dinner before. It was, Señora, it was Mrs. Chen, Karen Chen, Mr. Whitaker's client. She was in the guest bedroom of your house." I could not for a moment breathe. Karen Chen was, and had been for approximately 6 years, one of Grant's clients. She was 51 years old. She was the widow of a Silicon Valley tech founder who had died in 2018. Karen had, upon her husband's death, moved to Washington to be closer to her adult son, and she had hired Grant to manage the approximately $180 million estate her husband had left her. I had met Karen approximately 11 times over 6 years. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. She had, on 4 separate occasions, been at our house for dinner. Rosa said, "Señora, Mr. Whitaker came home about an hour ago. He is downstairs. In the kitchen. He does not know that Mrs. Chen is still upstairs. He does not know that I saw her this morning. He does not know that I am calling you." I said, "Rosa, what is she doing at the house?" Rosa said, "Señora, she has been at the house multiple times when you have been away. I have seen her car in the driveway on days I was not scheduled to work, but came by to pick up my paycheck. Señora, I am so sorry. I have found things in the guest bathroom that I did not want to find. I have known this for a long time. I did not know how to tell you. I did not know if it was my place. But this morning, when I saw her in your guest bed, and I understood that she was staying overnight while you were traveling. Señora, I could not be silent anymore. I am so sorry. I am so very sorry. I did not at first speak. Rosa said, Señora, are you there? I said, Rosa, I am here. Rosa, how long has this been happening? Rosa said, Señora, I first saw her car at the house about 18 months ago, when you were at the medical conference in Chicago in the spring of last year. I did not know what to think then. I told myself I was wrong. Then I saw her car again in July of last year, when you went to visit your sister, and in November, and in February, and in April. Señora, this is not new. I said, Rosa, why did you not tell me sooner? Rosa said, Señora, because I was frightened, not of Mr. Whitaker, of losing my job, of being wrong, of ruining your marriage if I was wrong, of the accusation coming from a housekeeper against a man like Mr. Whitaker in a house like this. I was frightened, Señora. I was frightened for 18 months. And this morning, when I saw her in your guest bed, and I remembered every single time I have folded your clean laundry for you and put your clothes back in your closet, I understood that I have been frightened of the wrong thing. I have been frightened of losing my job. I should have been frightened of being the person who let this continue. I stood at baggage claim. I did not, in that moment, cry. I felt, more than anything, a cold and specific clarity. I said, Rosa, where are you right now? Rosa said, Señora, I am in my car. I am parked at the Wawa on Chainbridge Road. I finished my work early today. I left the house at 4 o'clock. Mrs. Chen was still upstairs. I do not know if she is still there now. I said, Rosa, stay where you are. I am going to end this call. I am going to make one phone call, and then I am going to call you back in 10 minutes. Please do not go anywhere. Please do not go back to the house. Do you understand me? Rosa said, Señora, yes. I ended the call. I stood at baggage claim at Dulles Airport at 6:59 p.m. on a Wednesday in October, with my rolling suitcase circling on the carousel next to me, and I made the phone call that ended my 16-year marriage in the next 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I called my sister Isabel. Isabel is 47 years old. She is a family law attorney in Alexandria. She has, for 23 years, practiced high-asset divorce law in Northern Virginia. She has, over her career, represented approximately 14 women who were in exactly the position I was in at 7 p.m. on that Wednesday evening. She answered on the second ring. She said, Elena, are you home? I said, Isabel, I need your help, right now. Please listen. I told her everything Rosa had said. The name, the 18 months, the car in the driveway, the guest bedroom, the clothing on the chair. Isabel listened. She did not interrupt. When I was finished, she said, Elena, I need you to do exactly what I tell you. Are you listening? I said, Isabel, yes. She said, Number 1, do not go to the house tonight, under any circumstances. I do not care what he says. You are coming to my house. I said, Isabel? She said, Elena. Number 2, do not text Grant. Do not call Grant. Do not respond to any messages from Grant tonight. If he calls, do not answer. If he texts, do not read. If your phone rings and it is Grant, you let it go to voicemail. Do you understand? I said, Isabel? Yes. She said, Number 3, I want you to walk to the ground transportation exit right now, not the parking garage. Do not go to your car. I want you to take a taxi, cash, no credit card, to my house in Alexandria. It will take about 40 minutes. I will be there when you arrive. I said, Isabel, why not my car? She said, Elena, because in high-asset divorces involving marital infidelity, the first thing that happens is that both parties become extremely careful about digital trails. I do not want your credit card showing a charge from the Dulles Airport parking garage. I do not want your car's GPS showing you leaving Dulles and going to my house. I want you off the grid for the next 40 minutes. Do you understand? I said, Isabel, yes. She said, Number 4, when you get to my house, we are going to sit down, and I am going to walk you through exactly what happens next. Tonight, tomorrow, and next week. I need you to trust me, and I need you to know that I have done this 14 times. I know exactly what to do. Do you trust me? I said, Isabel, I trust you. She said, Elena, one more thing. Rosa, she is going to be extremely important to your case. She is a witness. She has been in that house for 11 years. She has seen things over 18 months. She is credible, She is loyal, and she has already tonight done the single most important thing anyone has ever done for you. I want you to call her back and tell her 3 things. 1, you believe her. 2, her job is safe and will be safe no matter what happens with your marriage. 3, she is not to go back to the house tomorrow. Not for any reason. She is on paid leave, effective immediately, until we tell her otherwise. Are you writing this down? I said, Isabel, I don't have anything to write with. She said, Elena, then repeat it back to me. I repeated it back to her. I called Rosa back at 7:04 p.m. I said what my sister had told me to say. I said the 3 things exactly. Rosa cried on the phone for approximately 11 seconds. She said, in a small voice, Señora, thank you. I was so scared. Thank you. I said, Rosa, thank you. Please go home. Please call me tomorrow morning. Please do not go back to the house until I tell you it is safe. She said, Señora, yes, I will do exactly what you say. I said, Rosa, one more thing. I am going to need you, in the next few days, to give a written statement to my attorney about what you have seen. Are you willing to do that? Rosa was silent for approximately 3 seconds. Then she said, Señora Elena, I have worked for you for 11 years. You have paid for my health insurance. You have given me Christmas bonuses. You have paid for my daughter's dental work in 2019 when she needed the emergency root canal. You have driven me home once when my car broke down in 2020. I will give any statement you need me to give. I will testify. I will do whatever you ask. This family is my family too. Do you understand what I am telling you? I said, Rosa, I understand. She said, Señora, go to your sister. I will see you when you are ready. I ended the call at 7:07 p.m. I picked up my suitcase from the carousel. I walked to the ground transportation exit. I got into a taxi. I paid cash. I gave the driver Isabel's address. I sat in the back seat of the taxi as it drove down the Dulles access road toward Alexandria, and I looked out the window at the October twilight, and I understood, for the first time in my adult life, what it feels like to know that a marriage is over before the other person in the marriage knows it too. Grant called me at 7:23 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 7:41 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. He called a third time at 8:02 p.m. I let it go to voicemail. He texted at 8:18 p.m. Elle, are you okay? Your flight landed hours ago. Please call me, I'm getting worried. I did not respond. I arrived at Isabel's house in Alexandria at 8:07 p.m. She was waiting on her front porch with a glass of red wine in one hand and a legal pad in the other. Her husband Marcus, a pediatrician, was inside with their 2 teenage children. Isabel walked me directly to her home office in the back of the house. She closed the door. She said, Elena, sit down. I sat down. She said, Elena, before we do anything else, I need to tell you what tomorrow is going to look like. Because tomorrow is when your life becomes different. Are you ready? I said, Isabel, I am ready. She said, good. Then let's begin. We worked in Isabel's office until 1:47 in the morning. After I want to tell you what happened over the next 8 months, because it matters for understanding what a loyal housekeeper and a good sister can do for a woman in the worst week of her life. At 9 a.m. Thursday morning, approximately 14 hours after Rosa's phone call, Isabel filed a petition for divorce on my behalf in Fairfax County Circuit Court. The petition included specific allegations of adultery, along with a request for exclusive temporary use of the marital residence pending resolution. At 10 a.m. Thursday morning, a courier delivered the petition and a temporary restraining order to Grant at his firm's downtown D.C. office. At 10:47 a.m., Grant called my cell phone for the 11th time in 14 hours. I did not answer. At 11:18 a.m., Grant called Isabel's office. Isabel took the call. I do not know what she said to him. I have never asked. At 3 p.m. Thursday afternoon, Grant's attorney contacted Isabel's office to schedule an initial conference. Rosa Delgado gave her sworn statement to Isabel's office on Friday, October 11th at 10 a.m. The statement was 7 pages long. It detailed, in careful chronological order, the 8 specific occasions on which Rosa had observed Karen Chen at our house over the previous 18 months. It included dates, times, cars, license plates, and, in one instance, a photograph Rosa had taken of Karen Chen's car in our driveway on a Saturday morning in April, when I had been in Boston at a work event. The statement was, per Isabel's later assessment, the most complete infidelity documentation I have received from a witness in 23 years of practice. The divorce was settled out of court in June. Grant did not contest the terms. He signed a settlement that reflected the substantial marital fault penalties available under Virginia divorce law when adultery is established. I received the McLean house, which I have since sold. I received a lump sum settlement that will, per my financial advisor, allow me to retire 10 years earlier than I had planned. Grant retained his firm partnership interest and his portion of the retirement accounts. Karen Chen, per what I have been told through mutual acquaintances, ended her business relationship with Grant's firm approximately 2 weeks after the divorce petition was filed. She has, per those same acquaintances, ended her personal relationship with Grant approximately 6 weeks after the divorce petition was filed. I do not know the specifics. I have not asked. Grant sent me a handwritten letter in September. It was 3 pages long. I read the first paragraph. I stopped reading. I put the letter in a drawer. I have not opened it again. Rosa Delgado, at my direct request through Isabel's office, was placed on paid leave from October 10th through the closing of the McLean house in May. During those 7 months, I paid her full salary, her health insurance, and, because I understood, from having watched her work for 11 years, a Christmas bonus in December that was larger than any Christmas bonus I had ever given her. At the closing of the house in May, I gave Rosa a check for $60,000. Rosa cried in Isabel's law office when I handed her the check. She said, "Señora, this is too much. I cannot accept this." I said, "Rosa, on the evening of October 9th, at 6:47 p.m., you called me at Dulles Airport, and you told me not to go home. If you had not called, I would have walked into that house, and I would have found Karen Chen in the guest bedroom myself. Or worse, I would have walked in and my husband would have made me believe I was crazy. I would have doubted what I saw. He would have talked me out of it, because that is what he had been doing for 18 months. Rosa, you did not just save me from a bad night. You saved me from years of a lie. This check is not payment. This is thank you. Please take it." Rosa took the check. She now works, at her own request, as the head housekeeper at a small boutique hotel in Old Town Alexandria. Isabel arranged the position. Rosa's daughter, whose emergency root canal I had paid for in 2019, started nursing school at George Mason University last fall. I paid the first year of tuition. Rosa's daughter has told her mother she plans to become a hospice nurse. I bought a smaller house in Del Rey in Alexandria in July. I have a small garden. I have started to see a therapist, whom I like, and who has been helpful. I have started to feel, for the first time in about 3 years, like a person who is not carrying something heavy every single day. Rosa comes to my new house every other Saturday, not as a housekeeper, as a friend. We drink coffee together on the small patio behind the kitchen. She tells me about her daughter's nursing classes. I tell her about my new therapist. Once, in October, 1 year after the phone call, Rosa said to me across the patio table, "Señora Elena, I want you to know something." I said, "Rosa, yes." She said, "When I called you at the airport, I did not know if I was doing the right thing. I did not sleep the night before. I did not sleep the night after. But last month, when my daughter came home from her nursing class and told me she had learned that the most important thing a nurse can do is speak up when something is wrong, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it is not her place. I thought about that phone call. I thought about how afraid I was to make it. I thought about how I did not know if I was doing the right thing. And I thought, Señora, I thought that if my daughter can learn to speak up in her work because she saw her mother speak up in hers, then maybe the whole thing was worth it." I said, "Rosa, it was worth it." She said, "Señora, thank you." I said, "Rosa, thank you." We drank our coffee. If you have ever been the woman who did not know, who was living inside a marriage that had, without you understanding it, already ended, and who was saved from walking into the truth alone by someone the world had trained you not to see, I want you to leave one word in the comments below. Just one word. The name of the person who told you the thing you did not want to hear, at the exact moment you needed to hear it. Say their name, because someone in this comment section is going to see your word, and they are going to remember that the person who saves you is very often not the person you expected to save you. And if this story reminded you that loyalty travels in both directions across the small kindnesses of 11 years, subscribe. Because next week, I am telling you about a stranger who threw coffee on my uniform at the airport. TSA escorted her off the plane. I'll see you there.